I found a family on these streets closer than any family I knew.
Hey, welcome back everybody. Afghan Trucker here. We're back in the Inland Empire with Sherry. How you doing, Sherry?
Blessed. Blessed with another day I wasn't promised.
All right, so what brings you here to Colton, California?
Actually, I was stuck in Nevada, couldn't find a job, and someone said if I helped them get out to San Bernardino, they would help me get on my feet. I ended up helping them get to San Bernardino, found out they were 5150, which means crazy. Their own family did not want to have anything to do with them, and it left me out here on the streets.
I'm sorry, who'd you come with to San Bernardino?
A guy I met in Nevada.
What part of Nevada?
Las Vegas.
Oh, you came from Vegas. I'm always in Vegas.
I was actually north part of Las Vegas.
And then you came all the way to San Bernardino.
Yep, because he said he could help me get on my feet. It was right after 2010, and it was when the job market crashed, and Nevada was one of the worst states to get a job at that time.
Yeah. So you've been here in the Dino area for 10 years, 15 years?
14 years?
14 years? All right, how long have you been homeless out here?
Off and on, about 13.
13. Are you currently using anything? And you don't have to answer that, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, I do drugs at times.
Okay. And how do you survive out here as far as money goes?
I'm thankful to get help from the local people who actually help people like us make an honest living. I don't like stealing. I don't like hurting mom and pop stores. I don't like boosting. I don't like doing any of that illegal stuff. I try to make an honest living. I'd rather ask people for handouts, some change, or anything they can help me with than to do something that's damaging. I really hate stealing from people or anything like that. I hate being stolen from, so I don't steal from others.
That's great. So what kind of work do you do out here to make money?
I panhandle, but if people have jobs or offer me something like cleaning their yard or helping clean up around a business, or I take on any of those type of jobs. I don't mind cleaning. I don't mind getting my hands dirty, working.
Do you have like an email or any kind of contact information? So if some of our viewers watch this and they want to help you or support you in any way, do you have like an email?
Yeah, SherryNIE@gmail.com.
All right, Sherry, it's great to know all this information. Can we take it to the beginning? Where were you born?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando. When was the first time you went to Disneyland?
I have no idea. And it was Disney World, not land.
Sorry, Disney World.
Yeah, my dad actually helped build the Epcot ball. He used to have his lunch on top of it and everything, so I had no idea.
He built the Epcot ball?
He helped build it. There's
Wow.
a huge ride that goes through it and everything. The big ball that they show for Epcot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to have his lunch on top of it when they were building it, and they put a ride going through it. If I had a picture, I'd love to show it.
I know. Is he still alive?
My dad, no. I found out recently he's passed away.
I'm sorry. Were you close to him?
When I was real young. But
Yeah.
as I got older, him and I definitely drifted apart.
Who were you raised by most of your life?
My mom,
Your mom? What kind of mom was she?
wonderful.
Yeah?
She was the type of person, she had a glow about her. She had love for everyone and rose-tinted glasses. She seen everybody in such a beautiful light. She didn't see them for their problems or their hang-ups. She saw them for being just a beautiful person and always wanted to help people.
Is she still around?
I hear she's alive in Las Vegas, actually.
Really? May I ask you, why don't you have a relationship with her?
Because when I last seen my parents, I had a discussion with my mom. She was told that she had 6 months to live by doctors, and I was talking to her about it, and I asked her what she would wish. She said a quiet, peaceful life with my dad. My dad and I were like oil and water. My dad interrupted our conversation to tell me to go upstairs, unplug my computer, and bring it downstairs to him. Otherwise, he's gonna go upstairs, rip it out the wall, and take it. Any way it goes, I couldn't stop him, and he was gonna take my computer. So I might as well listen. So I did as he asked. I went upstairs, I brought my computer down, I handed it to him, I gave my mom a kiss and a hug. I said I loved her and I wished her the very best. I looked at my dad and I disowned him. He actually broke down in tears going, "I'm never gonna see you again, am I?" And I said, "No, you're not." My dad wasn't the type to cry, but he knew I had conviction in that. The only reason I put up with my dad as much as I did was for my mom. But I knew my dad and I would not get along, and he was always going to be a selfish man. So instead of having my mom have us arguing and everything else for the last little bit she had, I tried to grant her wish by having a quiet, peaceful life with my dad.
Okay. She still may be in Las Vegas though?
That's what I hear.
Okay.
A friend of the family said that she was in touch with my dad, but my dad wouldn't allow my mom to talk to her, but supposedly she was still in Las Vegas and everything.
What's your message to your mom if she sees this?
Please get in touch with me. I miss you.
And she knows how to get in touch because you gave us your email address.
Yeah. I hope she sees it.
And then when you were raised over there in Orlando, was there any abuse in the home at all by anybody? Were you abused?
By a friend of my dad.
Friend of your dad?
I grew up abused.
I'm so
until
sorry.
the age of 9. And when I finally told my dad, he called me a liar. It wasn't until 5 years later that he found out I was telling the truth because it was in the newspaper. John Van Cleek was actually accused of molesting 9 children that he pled no contest to.
I'm so sorry about that. Did you ever get counseling back then for what happened to you?
No, I never stepped forward.
And did you think that affected you? Of course, but I mean, at that time.
Oh, I went from daddy's girl to my dad hated liars, so he thought I lied to him, and he started being absorbed into work, never being home. A lot of things changed.
I'm sorry. Like, what
and 5 years later, when he found out I was telling the truth, he broke down in tears, apologizing, saying, "I can't change it." And he regretted what he did, but there's no way to change it.
When did you start using drugs?
I didn't use drugs until 17.
17? How were those 5 years after the abuse? How did you deal with that as a teen? Do you remember those years? Were they dark years or?
Actually, I ended up spending a lot of time alone during part of those years because at the age of 12, my parents took me out of school. They were going to put me in homeschool, but they couldn't afford it, so I ended up just staying home. I didn't go to school. And
no CPS? No one ever called CPS on you?
I would have loved to have went to school if I could have changed that.
You would have loved to what?
Go to school and
Continue school?
Actually got something done.
Yeah.
Because it sucked being home and being scared about CPS or anybody else coming to get me and just basically being locked in the house all day long. And then I'd only get a couple hours out Monday through Friday, and then Sunday I wasn't allowed out all day because my parents said it was family day, so it was like I barely got out one day a week.
So all that trauma and pain were bottled up all those years. And then do you think that's one of the reasons you're using for what happened during those years?
I think one of the biggest reasons why I use is because of pain of personal injury.
Personal injury?
Yeah.
How was that?
When I was 19, landed on a solid wood table on my back. It realigned my spine to where you could visually see it, and it hurts a lot. At 19, I was prescribed by the doctor hydrocodone and ibuprofen 800 milligrams. I had to take a full day's dose in one shot, and it just knocked away the pain. And I realized I'd be addicted to pills hardcore if I went like that. So I just ended up giving them up and saying I wasn't going to take anything for the pain. I'll just try to live with it. I lived with it for several years. But here recently, I tried fentanyl, and it helped take away the pain, and I needed that because I've been living with pain so much. Sometimes it was hard for me to get out of bed or do anything.
Can you describe addiction to a non-addict?
Fentanyl is a different type of drug, much stronger than heroin and much different than most drugs. It requires you to use perpetually. After you start using for any length of time on a regular basis, your body becomes dependent on it. And this type of drug attacks the spine. So any injuries or any pain to the spine, and it will be intensified as you try to come off of it. It is nothing nice, nothing kind. And it takes a lot to just take away the pain and to live with it. First, most people use it to get high, but after a little bit, you're no longer trying to get high, you're just trying to stay well, they call it, which is just basically not being in pain, because when you don't take it, you start feeling the pain intensified because you no longer have your painkiller.
And then the withdrawals, what do they feel like?
Stomach crunching. Sometimes you'll start throwing up because of the pain. You have the chills. You'll feel like sometimes clammy, sometimes feverish, where you're dripping sweat. Your stomach is like tied in knots, and it's hard to eat at times. At other times, it's hard to drink or eat or do anything. I may not like fentanyl because I don't like what the drug does, and I hate the fact of so many friends of mine that died from it. But I love the fact of how close so many people are that use it, because we gotta help one another. And sometimes we're not able to get what we need because we couldn't get the money, or we couldn't. And a lot of people will look out for one another. And I found a family on these streets closer than any family I knew.
Was there, in these 13 years, was there a period of sobriety that you had?
Yes, there was. At the time, I wasn't doing all the stuff I was doing now. I actually only did crystal meth, and the guy I was with entered a sober program where he had to be clean. So I agreed whenever he got out of jail and he signed up with the program to be clean, I agreed to stay clean with him. So we went through this program, which was only supposed to be like, I think it was like a 16-month program, and we ended up going through it for almost 19 months. And I stayed clean and sober with him. But the main drive I had to be clean and sober is because I ended up pregnant.
How many children do you have?
I've had a total of 5.
5. What are your long-term goals? Because you're only 41, correct?
Correct.
You got a long time to live. You look very healthy. How is your physical health?
Not so good.
No?
No. Actually, doctors already told me I was supposed to be dead.
Why?
tachycardia, cardiorhythmia. I have seizures, rapid heartbeat, heart murmur, and it's caused such strain to my heart and such lack of being able to take care of myself. Even legally, I can't get a job or anything.
Who's out here to help? Do you have a boyfriend or a husband?
No. Legally, I got married, but I've been separated from him for over 14 years.
Is he on the streets here too?
No. Actually, he's in Nevada last I knew, but I literally walked 100 miles to leave him.
You walked 100
in
miles?
one day. I walked from north side of Las Vegas to right outside of Pahrump.
To right outside of Pahrump?
Day.
You walked? Wow.
In one day.
Sherry, what do you want people to know about you?
I've met some of the most incredible people out here, and I'm thankful for that. And I have a lot of ideas in a lot of ways I try to help people.
Yeah.
And I hope I can actually demonstrate and show some of the ways.
I'm sorry about your health problems, but let's say everything goes okay and you recover. What are your goals? Like, what do you see yourself? What would you like to see yourself in 2 years?
Hopefully sober.
Yeah, sober.
I love that.
Do you know where to go to get sober?
No.
There's a few places around here, but the young lady I interviewed earlier, Ashley, I believe. Mm-hmm. You know Ashley?
Mm-hmm.
She has some places. Have you ever talked to her about sobriety?
Mm-mm.
No?
We just haven't entered that discussion.
Have you heard of MFI or Gibson House?
I've heard of Gibson.
Yeah, they have a women's program there. So does MFI, White House Manor, I believe. There's a lot of places around here. What's an accomplishment you're most proud of?
In Las Vegas, I stayed at a shelter.
Yeah.
And one of the shelter's rules was you could only watch your own children there. They wouldn't allow anybody else to watch your kids.
Yeah.
But there was a single dad that ended up living there.
Yeah.
And at the time, I lived there with my husband and 2 kids. And the single dad lived there, and he couldn't have anybody else watch his kids. But I talked to the director of it, and I mentioned if the lawyer draw a paperwork that allowed someone to take the legal responsibilities for the children upon themselves, while the single parent goes out and looks for work and could work, so then they could actually get to what they needed to do in their life.
Yeah.
And someone was willing to take on the responsibilities like a guardianship paperwork, basically, where someone agreed to sign the paperwork that the parent could actually go out and do what they had to, and they ended up finding out they could sign that paperwork, and they made it a worldwide, the capabilities of having someone sign guardianship paperwork so parents could actually find jobs. And
oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite kind of food?
Of course, I'm gonna say I love a steak, but one of the best looking food things right now is over there at Jack in the Box with their bacon burger. I can't wait to try that one. I've been looking at that sign and it looks delicious.
You want to go get one of those later?
I'd love to.
All right. Do aliens exist?
I believe so.
Yeah. Since you're from Las Vegas, do you have any insight on that?
The only thoughts I have on that is the fact that even scientists agree that there's chromosomes that's in our DNA that doesn't exist anywhere on this planet. So in which case, how could we actually have things in us that ain't on this planet unless it got introduced to us from elsewhere?
Never heard that theory. You watch Joe Rogan?
Who?
Joe Rogan? Oh, okay, because he talks about aliens all the time. I thought you got it from that show. All right, Sherry, one more question. How did that interview make you feel? Like, how are you feeling right now?
Invigorating.
You what?
How is it joyful?
It was joyful?
Yeah, it was invigorating and that was joyful.
That's awesome. Thank you. You know, out of all the times I've interviewed people, I asked that question and I haven't got a negative response yet. What did you think before the interview? Were you kind of nervous or?
I wouldn't say nervous, but I was just kind of curious what way you were going to go about it on questioning. If you were going to try to do it like a timeline through the childhood, or if you were just going to do random questions or certain questions based on certain criteria.
Yeah, it was a great interview. I wish I could spend more time. I would like to do a second part. I want to get back deeper into your childhood, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had some great stories as well as advice, and your description of what addiction is was fascinating. Hopefully, others could see this and stop using if they are using, or don't ever use again. What is your advice to people that are trying to quit?
Take it one day at a time, and it's important to have something that helps drive you to sobriety.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to slip to addiction, but something that helps make you want to be sober is the key, especially if you know it's damaging and hurtful to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, you have a beautiful day.
You too.